Hello my fellow viewers, I'm the viewer, and this is episode 11 of Megaman Trio, the show where I rank the designs of the Robot Masters from the 3 iterations they appear in: Classic Megaman, Megaman Battle Network, and Megaman Fully Charged. As usual, I'll go over the 3 designs of a single Robot Master, then I'll choose my favorite while everyone else chooses in the comments. And today we have another special one, folks, because today we're going to be looking at the man, the myth, the legend himself, Dr. Light. And as usual, let's go over some honorable mentions. Ruby Spears, Dr. Light. Honestly, I don't have too much to say. It's spot on to classic Dr. Light.
My new robot prototype. Now, let's see if he works.
Powered up, Dr. Light. Nothing too much to say, but it's chibi Dr. Light. Dr. Light from the Mega Mix manga. He looks good, but his beard and his hair just do not match at all. The early design of classic Dr. Light. They tried to make him look like Albert Einstein, so this one's definitely a work in progress. Young Dr. Light from Mega Man 11. This is the first official time we got to see Dr. Light in his youth. The early design of Battle Network Dr. Light. I don't have too much to say. It's classic Dr. Light wearing a Hawaiian shirt. But he does look a bit heavier though. Capsule Dr. Light from Mega Man X. It's classic Dr. Light, but he's a hologram now. To be more specific, he's an AI helping out X by increasing his wardrobe and teaching him how to punch things really hard. Dr. Light from DC Comics. Okay, moving on. Dr. Light from the So Secret Levels. I don't have too much to say. It's classic Dr. Light with RTX cranked all the way up. The early designs of Fully Charged Light. They were definitely experimenting with his beard for these two. Now, this one's an interesting one. Dr. Light from Pachi Slots' Rockman ability. What the hell is Rockman ability, you ask? An extremely long story short, Rockman Ability is a Japanese exclusive casino game. And the longer you gamble, the more of the story you get to see. It's a complete reimagining of the world of Mega Man, with brand new characters and same old characters fighting each other. And besides having to put money every few minutes, this looked awesome! And this version of Dr. Light is actually Dr. Light's daughter, Amelia Light. Now I know what everyone's thinking, and I'm gonna say it. I would definitely love to see more of her.
博士、ロールがああ、見てたよ。こっぴどくやられたようだね。
Now, a lot of people see this version of Mega Man as a novelty, mainly because of its Japanese exclusivity. But I'm pretty sure that if this version of Mega Man came to the West, it probably would have been scrutinized along with another version of Mega Man that we know. But that's a discussion for another day. Last and certainly least, Captain N's Dr. Right. He wears all green and looks like a dwarf, because of course he does. So with that out of the way, let's take a look at classic Dr. Light. So, right off the bat, you can already see the wisdom this guy has. Now, besides using people like Albert Einstein and Thomas Edison as a template, they also based his appearance off of Santa Claus, which makes him look really approachable. Now, even though Dr. Light's old, you can argue that he aged really well. Just look at that full head of hair. Certainly better to what happened to Wily's hair.
わかったワイリー君。君にこの調査を任せよ。
Now, Dr. Light does seem to be on the heavier side though. There's nothing wrong with that, but he should definitely lay off the energy tanks. Now, of course, Dr. Light is very caring for the robots he builds and maintains. For the most part. Now, building robots to help the construction industry is a great idea, but building robot children in your basement is actually concerning. And keep in mind that Dr. Light has full control over their programming. Now, I do have another question. Does Dr. Light register rock and roll as his dependents? And if he does, is that illegal?
That's a good question.
Because that is some serious tax evasion he's committing.
Why did you write this?
Because I regularly commit massive tax fraud.
Might wanna tuck that one away there.
Okay, all jokes aside, Dr. Light is the main father figure in the series. Now, this does lead into a minor gripe I have about Dr. Light. More specifically in the classic series. And it's the fact that I just wish we got to see more of Dr. Light's character and fatherly nature. And before you go down to the comments, yes, I am well aware of how deep and fleshed out Dr. Light is in the Archie comics. No joke, the relationship between Dr. Light and Proto Man alone brought me to tears. And that's not even mentioning the rest of the comic. But as we all know, the Archie comics are just as canon as the Ruby Spears cartoon. Bummer, I know. Now, of course, they are moving in the right direction with Mega Man 11.
We were able to recover all their primary components, so they should be just like new. It would be a shame to let their talents go to waste when there's still so much good they can do.
But that was 7 years ago! So Capcom is definitely taking their time to flesh out the canon characters. As of right now, there have been 11 main titles and a bunch of spin-offs. And Dr. Light is as deep as a public pool. And keep in mind that most of that is being carried by Mega Man 11. But all of that is nothing compared to the Archie comics. That's as deep as the Mariana Trench. But again, those aren't canon. Now, even though the comics aren't canon, they're still a great point of reference, and it's not completely fair to discredit them. But it would be nice if Capcom's writing team could actually adapt the comics into the newer games. I don't know, maybe we'll finally get more character development in 2036 when Mega Man 12 finally comes out. Now, he may or may not have a god complex that may or may not lead to problems for humanity in the future. I'm just saying, man, artificially quadrupling the Earth's population practically overnight is gonna have consequences. So besides story shenanigans, Dr. Light's pretty good. Next is Battle Network's Dr. Light. Or in other words, Tadashi Hikari. And I'm gonna be straight with everyone, I'm just not vibing with this one here. As we already know, he's based off of classic Dr. Light, but instead of looking like he's full of wisdom, he looks like he's about to lose it. As if all these years are finally catching up to him.
Does your father know you're working here?
It was his idea.
In that case, I'll have a whiskey sour.
Now, just like classic Dr. Light, he also has the Santa Claus aesthetic. But something just doesn't seem right. Now, of course, he's the scientist who invented the internet. But he looks more like a retired culinary chef. Now, unlike classic Dr. Light, who's one of the main human characters in the classic series, Tadashi here is lucky to be on screen at all. Now, that's not Battle Network's fault, it's just what happens when you have a bunch more characters to account for. The poor bastard got left behind. Now, we have to keep in mind that Mega Man Battle Network is a complete reimagining of the world of Mega Man, with brand new characters and same old characters fighting each other. So things were bound to be different. Now, something I do find funny is that during the development of Battle Network and NT Warrior, they couldn't decide which design to use. Yeah, so they used the early design of Tadashi for the NT Warrior anime.
Pharaoh Man came to believe that he should not only be able to manage the data, but to control it however he saw fit. One of the scientists who worked on Pharaoh Man was Lan's grandfather.
And the poor bastard barely got a second of screen time. For crying out loud, Musketeer X from Sword Art Online had more screen time than this. Yup, that was their useless, absurd anime trivia for today. But then, 4 years later, they used the current design for Rockman EXE Beasts for some reason. Yeah, so if you can't already tell, I really don't have too much to say about Tadashi here. Again, this isn't Battle Network's fault, it's just what happens when there are a bunch of more characters to account for. And your two opponents are ranked match veterans. At the very least, he did not contribute to the downfall of humanity, so that's a plus. I've said it many times and I'm gonna say it again. I grew up with Battle Network, but I'm not stoked about Tadashi here. Next, we got Fully Charged Dr. Light. And holy shit, we got quite a bit to unpack. So just like classic Dr. Light, he's also a lead scientist in robotics. And he's also a veteran of war too, so he's well aware of the consequences when things are pushed too far.
Are you kidding? Big cool battles are totally awesome!
No, son. War is ugly. Fighting is a last resort. Peace, robots and humans living together as one? That is awesome.
Just like the previous two, he also has the Santa Claus aesthetic, but with some minor differences, like the fact that Santa here has actually seen some stuff. Now, he's very similar to classic Dr. Light with some key differences. It's that they used the classic design but swapped a few aspects together, like the color of his shirt and pants and pulling his hair back into a ponytail. It's very similar to what they did with Megaman, which looks alright, and I do like his fatherly relationship between Aki and Suna. It's very simple, but it's very nice to see. It still has an uphill battle against the Archie comics, but credit where credit is due.
As are you, Mega Man. Your greatest power is your ability to see the good in everyone and bring it out of them.
Now, even though Dr. Light is off the hook with Suna, he still might get into trouble with the IRS if he tries to use Aki as a dependent. Now, just like with classic Dr. Light here is very caring about other robots. He'll do whatever he can to help them be better, like helping Chauncey, aka Cutman, in dealing with his imperfections.
Maybe perfection isn't everything. Dr. Light, would you help me?
Friends help friends, Chauncey. Even imperfect ones. We'll figure this out. together.
He conducts Iceman's rehabilitation, so his programming doesn't take everything so literally.
Thank you for your help testing the efficacy of Iceman's rehabilitation.
Glad to. He's come a long way.
Precisely 1.2 kilometers to be here.
He's still a little literal.
He goes out on a date with Hypno Woman so he can have a better understanding of her perspective.
My favorite quantum particles are
Paired leptons with spooky action.
You're enchanting.
Even when Chaotique broke into and trashed his laboratory, he was still willing to repair her.
So, guess you're gonna lock me up, huh?
Why would I do that?
'Cause I broke into your lab, busted your stuff, made a mess of everything, and I gotta deal with obsidian.
And now you get a chance to make some new choices. Hopefully for the better.
He understands that with robots, it's not completely black and white, and that there are plenty of variables to account for.
That's it? No one try to hijack him for an evil, landscaping attack?
Not this time. Humans have to be careful about how we communicate with certain robots. Now, we may be equals, but we think differently. Now, don't worry, we'll have him fixed up and back where he belongs in no time. Thanks for your help.
Now, besides Drillman, I don't really have too much to say about their voices. But this case is very special, and if you haven't noticed, Dr. Light is played by none other than the man, the myth, the legend, the one true voice of Optimus Prime in my eyes, my boy, Gary Chalk.
What? Nothing! No! I have no time to waste on you pests! You picked the wrong day to mess with me! Let's wipe that smile off his face! Optimus Prime! Super Mode! Now you see what real strength is. Take on one of us, then you take on all of us.
I grew up with both Transformers Cybertron and Megaman side by side, so you have no idea how much this makes me happy. His voice hasn't aged a day. My boy there is a G. Now, another thing I love about Dr. Light here is that he is true to his word. He will only fight if it's a last resort. And because of Dr. Light's experience in the Hard Age Wars, he has what is called conflict avoidance. Here's a brief summary of what that is. When people are very experienced in professional fighting, martial arts, or even war, they tend to adopt a more pacifist mindset. And that's because they have first-hand experience on how bad and how fast conflict can escalate. And in the case of a professional fighter, believe it or not, the ring is a very controlled environment. But it's a completely different story when a fight breaks out on the street. Now, this doesn't mean that the professional fighter can't defend himself. He certainly can. But when people start to pick a fight with him who have absolutely no idea how bad things can get, you can see where things can go south. And in the case of Fully Charged, Dr. Light, along with Breaker Knight, Woodman, and Principal 100, have a kill count. Just think about that for a moment.
It will be war. Isn't that right?
No, Breaker. The time for war is long past. Peace, understanding, and unity are the only rational answers.
So for Dr. Light, he's probably one of the only human characters in the entire franchise where if you cross the line, he is gonna throw down, human or robot. That's right, he just ran up to Cutman and punched him in the face with his bare hands. Yeah, that's the last time he's gonna shoot cutter blades at him. He'll even remove his coat Yakuza style, revealing all his battle scars, too. When was the last time a human character in the Mega Man franchise actually go head-to-head with a robot like this? Dr. Wily and Dr. Cossack needed mech machines. Dr. Kane is on life support, so he's already cooked. CL had to pull Zero out of retirement to fight her battles. Dr. Wow would turn into a blobfist without his retentive suit. The human caravan from Mega Man 04 that was escaping Neo Arcadia wouldn't have lasted a week. God forbid Vet and Ale forget their biometals at home. Sergeant Breaker Knight is just a sitting duck without his armor. Here, Dr. Light only needs his gun and his bare hands.
Even when Mega Man would take down 20 people, it took him a little bit of time. But now comes Dr. Light. You don't fuck with Dr. Light.
And that's not even mentioning the rest of his arsenal that are shown in the comics. If there was ever a battle royale in hand-to-hand combat with all the human characters in the Mega Man franchise, Fully Charged Light would definitely come out on top. So if you haven't already noticed, unlike Classic and Battle Network, Dr. Light here is just built different. Seriously, this man is a behemoth. And remember, Mega Man Fully Charged is a complete reimagining of the world of Mega Man, with brand new characters and same old characters fighting each other. And they definitely put a lot of thought into Dr. Light here. Needless to say, Dr. Light here is without a doubt one of my favorites. Alright, that was Dr. Light from Classic, Battle Network, and Fully Charged. So last place goes to Battle Network's Tadashi Hikari. There's absolutely nothing wrong with him, but the man is definitely out of his league. And second place goes to Classic Dr. Light. Besides having a few chips on his shoulder, he is definitely leaving a legacy. And taking the gold is Fully Charged Dr. Light. I absolutely love what they did with his character and his hands-on approach when people cross the line. And this is my ranking on Dr. Light. So which one's your favorite? Let me know down below. I'm the viewer, thank you for watching.